Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. We have Sneak and Show versus Sneak and Show. Mirror Match Violence. Let's see how this goes from Matthew and Andrew, both of them leading out with basic islands. So we've got Unhinged versus, actually looks like FBB from here. Beta Art. Preordained and Brainstorm so far from Matthew, starting to sculpt. Looks like a Teferi on the other side for Andrew. This may be different than traditional Sneak and Show. Teferi going to be a must counter. Very similar to Defense Grid, but with a little extra added value. Another painful card to put in off of Show and Tell from your opponent, potentially bouncing Emrakul, which is really the worst line. Usually if you're playing Sneak and Show first in this matchup, you're often losing. You really might even consider sideboarding them out. Casting Sneak Attack, a much safer card, but flinching in general can be very punishing. Cards like Spell Pierce and Flusterstorm can do quite a lot to prevent you from actually achieving your goal, and then can leave you with the shields down for your opponent's turn. One thing that I do kind of like here about this Teferi, looks like a Lotus Petal. Oh, and just running Teferi out there. No Lotus Petal first, interestingly. Would have represented Spell Pierce. But holding on to that card. Let's see if we can learn why. Teferi ticking up. Lotus Petal and passing. And a Show and Tell being thrown out there. Omniscience and Gristlebrand. Ooh. It's actually not entirely clear that Andrew just doesn't have the best of it here. Omniscience going to allow him to cast his spells for no mana. And Teferi allowing him to cast Ponder right now. Pulling up the Oracle text on Teferi Time Raveler. It says, until your next turn you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. So it's actually not one. I wasn't sure if it just gave one card. It's actually as many sorceries as you like. Gristlebrand continuing to dig. And another Show and Tell. Now each opponent can only play spells only anytime they could play a sorcery, so Force of Will gonna be a hard counter here. Not even needing to pitch a blue card. And that is absolutely brutal. The only thing Teferi can't quite do is just swing in for these last two, but man, he's done his work. He can bounce this Gristlebrand, being at 2 life, meaning Matthew's not going to be able to use that Ancient Tomb. And a whole fistful of goodness. Looks like a Cunning Wish for Firemind's something Foresight. Forget the name of the card, but he's going to go ahead and get another Cunning Wish, a Spell Pierce, and an Impulse. That's going to get Illidan's Call out of the sideboard with the second Cunning Wish, grabbing Emrakul and allowing it to be cast, getting an extra turn, pushing through those final 2 points of damage and getting rid of all of those pesky permanents. So Andrew taking that one down largely on the strength of Teferi really kind of put Matthew in a situation where he perhaps felt like he had to go for it. You usually don't want to flinch first, but not a whole lot of sense in trying to bluff counters when you can't even cast them. Teferi just really hammering home the protection element there for all of those counters. They just became real trump cards in this matchup, which is all about resolving just a single powerful spell, usually Show and Tell or Sneak Attack. So this white version, let me know what you think of it in the comments here. This is very interesting. Let's see if we've got some mentors perhaps floating around here. I'm not seeing, as he was shuffling, I don't recall seeing any red cards. So there we go. I see some mentors. I am liking this list. Very interesting. Basically Show and Tell or Mentor. And Teferi just another 3-mana bomb. Both Teferi and Narset really making a splash out of War of the Spark. Who knew 3-mana planeswalkers with solid abilities would be so impactful? Oh, there's a Teferi getting thrown around. Of course, his -3, returning an artifact, creature, or enchantment, and drawing a card. Also potentially useful. Probably one of the better ways to answer a card like Chalice of the Void, if you only need a short while to take advantage of it being gone. All right, so Matthew going to be on the play here. Cards like Spell Pierce and Red Blast, potentially very, very useful. Mana efficiency, so key in this type of matchup. And both players using their early mana to begin sculpting. Andrew considering that Brainstorm as well. What that's going to look like. Whether to shuffle before or after the Brainstorm, very relevant. Really want to maximize the decision making here with all of these cantrips. Really want to maximize your whatever your game plan is. Either finding those extra counters to make sure things resolve, or finding the needed threats to make your Show and Tell or Sneak Attack actually useful. I'll say there are times when playing Sneak and Show where the cards don't even feel like Magic cards. Some of the hands just don't do anything. They might as well be Pokemon cards. And then some other games, you just turn one, Show and Tell, Omniscience, cast Emrakul, and Gristlebrand on the first turn. There's a extremely high variance with the deck. And I think the London Mulligan will certainly help the deck function better in a vacuum, though it will help really all decks. Just not necessarily equally. Matthew really going heavy on these volcanic islands, which could leave him in a little bit of an awkward spot if Andrew's actually on back to basics instead of Blood Moon. Blood Moon's a card that I'm fairly critical of in Sneak and Show builds. Not generally impressed with it. There are plenty of times where it's very good. There are many other times where you just wish that you were still playing with fetch lands. You do not need that much red mana floating around. And being able to shuffle with all these cantrips can be very, very powerful. Matthew now coming back around to the basics. And jamming a Vendilion Click, a solid card in the mirror. A great response to opposing show and tells, especially when they only have a singleton card to put in off of it, like a Griselbrand. Ripping that out of their hand can be absolutely backbreaking. And this looks like it's going to be good enough to throw a Force of Will at. And will Matthew consider that a job well done? He will. He'll save his Force of Wills for something else. Not going to fight to the bitter end over that click. Incremental card advantage. One of the ways to win the mirror. Chase the Mind Sculptor, another very, very powerful mirror-breaking card. And just regular old sneak attack here, threatening potentially lethal action coming up soon. Andrew gonna be forced to counter that. He will pitch using Force of Will. And now Matthew decides to use that force he was holding on to. Brainstorm for Andrew. Can he find a Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm? Ideally, that Force of Will should not be in his graveyard yet. If he did find Flusterstorm, that would have been a bit awkward. Might have been better to Brainstorm and then potentially be able to Flusterstorm the opposing Force of Will, allowing your own force to resolve. Once it does go into the graveyard, Flusterstorm not going to do anything for sneak attack. Teferi coming down, bouncing sneak attack. Potentially buying a whole nother turn here. So bounces it, draws a card, past the turn. Does Matthew have another mana? He does. So the sneak attack could potentially be lethal here. Sneak attack with a red mana floating against an untapped Andrew. Griselbrand drawing 7, looking for Lotus Petal and Emrakul. In the first 7. Taking a look at his sideboard. Gonna go down to 2. That is how you play this deck. No sense in holding back. You are not the type of player that's happy drawing 14 cards in a turn. This is not the deck for you. Griselbrand clearing out that Teferi, gaining 7 life from his lifelink, and leaving an absolutely stacked hand here for Matthew. A little bit unfortunate that he wasn't able to find a Lotus Petal to go along with any other monsters that he had. That could have ended it on the spot if he had Emrakul. We'll see if Matthew has another creature in hand. That can actually happen. You can potentially whiff on additional creatures. Wouldn't that be something? Show and tell here from Andrew. Gets Force of Will, pitching Ponder. Paying a red. And there it is. Emrakul and Griselbrand teaming up to take that one down. A bit unnecessary. Emrakul had it on his own. Only 15 life to take away. And this is tied up 1 apiece now. Sneak attack doing some serious work there. Well, thank you, Killzone. Just got a comment from France. We will be continuing these videos. Look for them to improve soon. We've got brand new lighting coming into the store tomorrow, getting a whole new energy efficient overhead lighting system in place. Once that's set up, I'll be looking to revamp the camera angle a little bit for these videos and just continually improve the quality. Any experts out there that want to share some wisdom, feel free to hit me up in the comments or send me an email. looking to go probably directly off of the ceiling with the webcam. And then I'm not sure for these commentary sections, may pick up a better mic. We get a better background as well. Now you see our play mats behind us. Behind me, so I'm not royalty. Preordained now for Andrew, leading out off of a Tundra Volcanic Island for Matthew. Nobody afraid of any type of non-basic hate here in this quasi-mirror. Andrew on a blue-white build of his show and tell deck. I mean, I don't think we can call it sneak and show if it doesn't have sneak. And Matthew on the more traditional build. More Tundras for Andrew, and now a Ponder. We got Preordained, Brainstorm, and Ponder. And Matthew now leading out with Brainstorm finally. Patiently waiting. Brainstorm and Fetch Land, best combo in the game assembled here for Matthew. Able to shuffle away those dead cards. Now Brainstorm for Andrew. Also finding a Fetch Land, immediately shuffling them away. And there is the Teferi off of Lotus Petal. Matthew taking a good look at it, considering his options. And Andrew actually using the minus ability to draw a card, as it's up to one target artifact, creature, or enchantment. Getting the extra card now. Force of Will in hand. And Vendilion Click, card that threatens to clear this Teferi without losing any type of card advantage. Andrew may need to Force a Will this. Can he let this slide? He'd be losing his force anyways. And he is going to go ahead and get rid of that. Got another Teferi in hand. Spell Pierce not able to defend against creatures like Vendilion Click, so Teferi plussing and then minusing the second one. Continue to draw cards. Very expensive cantrips. Ponder here for Matthew. Andrew likely going to be able to fire off a sorcery speed cantrip during the end step. Preordain, and is this worth spell piercing? I believe that's going to be the decision. And he will actually fire off a spell pierce and a Ponder. So Matthew going to be completely tapped off, unable to counter once this Teferi's in play. Or once he passes the turn because of this Teferi. Plussing Teferi. Looks like maybe a land being played to bring Force of Will online. Was that a consideration? And Vendilion Click off of this City of Traders. Going Show and Tell and Lotus Petal. I'm gonna go ahead and let him keep it. know if I would have taken that show and tell. Really depends on what else is in Matthew's hand. This click is going to be able to clear this Teferi out pretty soon. A little bit longer of a wait than normal. Typically, the million click being cast on your opponent's turn during their draw step, maybe during their end step. So show and tell is in hand. He's preordaining right now. This cannot feel good for Matthew. The shields are completely down thanks to this Teferi. City of Traders being used. Getting another Teferi. This time plussing him. So no additional card draw. Here's a sneak attack. Paying 1 red Gristlebrand. And the end is near. Seven more, 14 cards being drawn. Lotus Petal, Emrakul, and that is a match. So Teferi did some very interesting things, winning game 1, but a glut of Teferis in game 3 here, contributing to Andrew dropping game 3. Matthew able to take this one 2-1 in a very interesting quasi-mirror match. Thanks for watching.